I haven't shown Theo or Fig in a bit, and I just wanted to, I sped this up a little bit because their playtime was so long, but this is the joy of my life. We sit in our living room, and when they play, we stop everything and we take out the camera. And a lot of times, unfortunately, if they see us looking at them, they stop and they stare. But it's just so cute. And I love when I see little fur balls come up. Like you can see the fur on Fig's finger, you know, his little paws that he's grabbed from Theo. Oh my God. I swear to God.
You can tell that their fighting is just so playful. They're not even like pushing strong or biting. Oh my God, it's so cute. Oh, Theo and his like squeaking complaints.
So Scott helped me clear out this patch a week or so ago, and I'm just cleaning it up today because it's such a nice weather. But as I was pruning and cleaning up in here, Scott, hey, show the camera the flower.
Oh yeah, I'll move it
So
over
look,
here.
I want you guys to see how long it had to grow because the weeds or wildflowers got so tall that the branches had to get so, look at that. And it really smells beautifully. And then there's another little bud coming. So I was really nervous that, look at how tall. I mean, it's about 7 feet tall. It's crazy. I'm gonna have to learn how to prune it so that it gets bushier and, you know, gets more stuff in the middle. But Scott thought he would just zip tie it to this pole so that like weather or wind or, you know, it will stay. And maybe we'll get like vines going up. But it's just so pretty today, and we've been having so much rain and so much hot weather that I thought perfect day to take a break and clean some of this bed up more.
Yeah, that'll just keep it at least from
getting
knocked over.
Exactly. And then hopefully it will branch out lower. But I'm so happy that this was the bush that the roses that I planted in here first. When we had cleaned out all of this, and I had these giant white blooms. And literally overnight, deer came and ate the 3 blooms that were on top of it. And then I only got 1 bloom since. And so this is the very first time. So it makes me happy since that
That's cool.
massacre.
You'll probably get a bunch all along here.
Yeah,
too.
I'm hoping lower that it will get more. But yay, nature has come back.
And I come out of Sue's studio, and what do I find? A little turtle. Little box turtle. Hi, buddy. You're so pretty. Yeah. And their patterns are so cool. It's like a fingerprint. None of them are the same. Looks like little crowns to me. Yeah. You're heading off, huh? Don't worry, I won't hurt you. Okay. We'll leave you to it.
This is a slightly older painting of mine, and I got it back, and we're gonna take another photo of it because I was gonna post about it, but honestly, the photo was horrible. And Scott, let's talk about how you installed it. I've talked a little bit about in another video about how I don't think that this black frame helps it. So did you use this just because we didn't have enough of those metal?
Whenever I have things that come over, so when you have the metal things, this is above this, so you can't put the metal things in to hold it in.
No, but we have those metal clips.
We have
that
some metal clips.
You screw in and they come up.
I prefer this when I can.
So this is just loose canvas
I do this
that
on
you...
big things where I just tear off, I just cut some pieces of spare canvas. I put that on there. I do this with really large paintings too, and I may even put one in the center if it's really big. That gives it a little bit of give still. So sometimes when you put those metal clips on, if you screw them in too hard, they push forward, and eventually they'll crack the frame.
Oh.
So they'll crack the front part over here, or they'll crack the corners. This gives a little bit of give to it, so you can make it tighter than
All right,
this.
but I think I want to take a photo of it without the frame.
Sure.
Okay, so
So
we just
all
need
you
to
do is you
yeah.
just take these things off.
Should I have a knife or something?
Well, usually I can just pull them out with my hands, but you can use a
Oh,
little.
because yeah, you got them in there. Really.
You can use a little knife if you want. Usually I just take them off halfway like this.
Okay.
Then I can put them back on there, and you can take
all
these out. Here.
So we just dipped a cotton cloth with a tiniest bit of water.
Seems to be taking it off.
Yeah, I mean, paintings get dusty, but also just dark paintings, really, it's so
Probably
noticeable.
just because it was on here from...
Do you think that, is there any problem with having that really strong side light? Or should I close?
We're going to close this.
Oh, we are.
Sure.
We're going to close them, okay.
For sure.
So you're just dipping it into water a little bit.
Yeah, and we're going to...
Because, yeah, what I was talking about, it's such a dark painting.
If this is cloth, it seems like this is more of like a...
It's cotton.
Okay.
And so we're pushing the painting all the way down to get farther away from the lights because...
Well, these lights are far enough up and they're at an angle coming, so we don't have to worry about fall off really at all in the studio with this size painting. If the lights were flat up here, fall off's more of an issue, but because they're at an angle, they're coming at the same distance to things. So we don't.
But also, the good thing is to actually lower the painting as, it's just so you don't get fall off.
It just needs to be lowered enough that that the angle of the camera will be shooting down a little bit, and we'll do a couple where we angle it more, and we angle it less, and we'll see what. Well,
and this painting is kind of, this is it's a 30 by 24, so it's slightly bigger for me. But it's not big for you. Like, you do really huge paintings, so you have to worry a lot about fall off.
Yeah, it's a big painting is a real difficulty because it's hard to get my camera up high enough. But in this studio, I could shoot a big painting pretty easily. That's one of the reasons you varnish things, so that you can take dirt and things like this off later. Mm-hmm. If it's not varnished, it can be hard to get off.
Yeah, and so I think I'm going to bring this painting with me to our workshop that we go to just to show people. But I'm not going to bring the frame because I don't think that frame helped it. So those are the blue shop towels that you say don't have any...
They're non-fiber. So yeah, they use these in like cleaning.
So you said those are even better than using that cotton cloth.
Turn those two lights off.
Okay, so we close the blackout curtains. So do you want lights behind the paintings?
Now, one thing that I sometimes do, I'm putting this on the edge so that we're not going to get a reflection from there. Sometimes what I do, especially when you have dark ones that are shiny, I don't think it'll be an issue here. But sometimes, like in my studio, I've got a lighter floor. I'll put a black cloth down to keep light from bouncing up from the bottom into things.
Like, maybe if you had shiny floors, like tile or some kind of...
Or any color, if you had red or if you had some sort of color down there, it's going to reflect back into the bottom of the painting. So this is kind of a neutral green, so I don't think it's much of an issue. I don't know. We'll see what kind of glare we get, but I don't think we're going to get too much. Put this here. So now we'll start setting the camera up and see how far back we need to be. And obviously, if it's a bigger painting, you might need to move it further back. So I'm using on this a 85 millimeter lens. So 50 is probably okay too for not getting bend. I use the 85 just to make sure I don't get any curve on the sides of any painting. So if you go lower than 50, you're using like a 45 or 35, it's slightly fish-eyed, so you will start to get a little bit of a curve on the sides that'll distort it. Using a zoom, just make sure that it's not being zoomed past 50. So you just don't want to go to where you're using a wide angle, because as you know with a wide angle, it'll start to curve the sides of things. So if you go too close to a picture with a zoom lens that's too large, you'll notice in your picture you'll get a slight bow. You've got a real big bow if you're really going wide angle. So this.
I want to just notice that the painting is at the tiniest bit of an angle. You see how it's not completely straight up, which means that you're putting the camera at just the littlest bit of an angle too, because you're having it be parallel to the painting.
I'm going to shoot it. I'm shooting the very slightest bit down on this.
I want everyone to notice that I got a white card. Now, you know, you can buy an actual photography card, but this is just to help yourself. Like when you put it into the computer, they tend to have like a white eyedropper, and that might help you get better color in your pictures. And you can also order things on Amazon. They're actually photography bars that have like grayscales or color cards with an actual pure white, and you can tape it to the sides of your paintings.
If you send them to a printer, that way they'll know that that is with the card in it before you've cropped it. They'll know that's pure white, and they can use that to adjust it to their system. Now, I'm going to shoot at a higher f-stop, about f16, just to make sure everything's in focus. The higher the f-stop you go, the more depth of field you'll have.
Because that's happened before, where you can get part of the painting in focus and other parts not in focus.
I'm not shooting down this much right now. I'm shooting down a little bit. So because I'm shooting down a little bit, the top of this is a little closer to the lens than back here. It's a little further back.
Even though it could just be
I may
centimeters.
have about that much of a depth of field that I need to do
Let me
focus. Okay? So it might be from the front just a little bit further. So if I'm really low f-stop, maybe only this much would be in focus. And so your upper and your lower could be a little out of focus. If I'm shooting way down on it, then the distance could be this much. That's in focus and out of focus. That's your depth of field, the depth of what's in focus.
Because I've seen that before in paintings where parts of it are in focus and part aren't.
And that's the thing is sometimes people will take their picture and they'll then look at the center of it and say, oh, it's in focus. But then when they put it in Photoshop, they'll realize the bottom and the top have gone a little out of focus. So by using a higher f-stop, I increase my depth of field so that what's in focus, if you go way up to like f22.
And this works with taking photos of models.
Models.
Because if you have a hand coming towards you.
Everything, yeah. And so, yeah, if you want your mountains in focus and the foreground, that's like Ansel Adams would use f64. He was part of a club called f64 because they wanted the background and foreground, everything in focus. So that's one of the reasons why when I'm setting, my first thing I do here is I set my f-stop before I even figure out what my exposure is. So I'm going to set it at, I'll set it at f18 just to make sure that I've got everything in focus. That's way more than I need for this. Now I can go to the speed. And I've set it at 100 ISO, so it'll be the most, sharp and crisp. And then I've set this so that when I press this, my timer will go off, and I press it and it'll go 1, 2, and then it'll take the picture. That way, my hand isn't going to be jiggling the camera when I press my exposure. Because this will be a longer exposure for this f-stop. It'll probably be a 2 or 3 second exposure. I'll go a little lower on my f-stop. I'll go down to 14 and we'll do 14 at 4 seconds. And so now I'll press this and then I'll wait and see here. So now I look at my screen.
Yeah, 4 seconds, yeah.
And I see where it is. That's almost a perfect exposure. It's just I'm getting a little bit of blinking in one part on her telling me that that's gone out of exposure. So that's gone pure white. So I'm going to actually go a little less.
So you're saying that the top of her dress, that yellow, is going too blown out.
I'll go to 3.3 seconds, about 3 second exposure, and we'll try that. Okay, let's see here. So you see this is the little picture, and this is the histogram, okay? So you see how that's blinking white? That's because that's gone pure blown out white. So that white card isn't going to help us any. So I go to this one here. You see how on her chest that was blinking. So that's telling me that has gone pure white. So I have no information in that. That's why I went a little darker. Now this is blinking white. So I might take another one and we'll zoom in. I always zoom in to make sure my exposure is good. Okay. Make sure I'm in focus and everything. And it looks like I'm very in focus and we're not getting too much glare. Just that's that little dust that's on her eye there. So that's a good way to check. And then you'd go up towards your top too and check. You can really see it's picking up. Even the tiniest little dust spots aren't out of focus. So it's really telling you that everything's in focus really well here. So that looks pretty good.
So that's just important to always zoom in and to look at different parts.
Now I'm going to take one just slightly darker again, and I'll press that, let go, let it do the exposure. Now we'll see here if that's blinking. So you see that's still blinking. So it's amazing how white, and because this is a dark painting, we might not be able to use that too much. We'll go even darker. Might not be able to use that white card and get the right exposure. I'll keep going until it doesn't blink. Sometimes if you move it to the bottom rather than the top, the white card can work. So we'll try that. Blinking a little bit, but some of it is working. Because I moved it in the back a little bit, and this is casting a little shadow on it, that part that's in shadow is working pretty well.
So Scott was saying that white card was up at the top and was catching so much light that he thought it'd be better, because this painting's so dark, to move the white card down farther away from the light source.
It's really just a little too light for, sometimes dark paintings, you have to expose them more, and so it's out of range. Now, that white card, if I shoot this in RAW, will still probably be fine. So I'm going to shoot this both in RAW and in JPEG so that we'll have a nice, make sure we have
I rarely ever do anything in RAW, but I guess it's always a good idea. You never know, just in case you might need professional photography or you're doing prints or books. But for my purposes, which are websites and Instagram and that type of thing, I don't even really deal with RAW.
All right, so I'm going to switch this now to shoot a RAW and a JPEG. This is the exposure I think will be the best, but it's always good to bracket things. I go into my own settings here, and then I just go up to where I change it to shoot RAW, and
so bracketing means you take a dark, middle, and light.
Yeah, and I'm going to actually, for this one, I might as well just automatically bracket it too. So I'm going to go up here, I'm going to go to my bracketing, and I'm going to add, so it'll take 3 pictures here, okay? So press my button, 1, 2, 3. So now it's taken one stop above, 1 stop below, and 1 right on what my exposure is. So this way I've got, when you put it in the computer, I'll have, and all 3 were shot in RAW and in JPEG. So now when I do this, it looked like it wasn't too bad with her glare. It's mainly hitting it.
See, this is what I was talking about, that you would actually kind of tilt it, I mean, slightly forward. I mean,
now my angle has increased. So I can leave it right where I'm at right now. Lowered my focus point so that it's on the center. There we go.
So you think that it got rid of the most glare, tilting the painting forward?
It'll always get rid of the most.
Well, that's what I was mentioning before.
Well, yeah, I'm just showing different ways. I tilted it forward. What I'll do a lot of times is I'll tilt it forward, and then I'll shoot one, and then I will tilt it forward even more, and I'll shoot another one. And I'm going to do one more just to make sure. And I'm going to lower this down to the most. Is this already down as far as it goes? There we go. Lower this down a little more. And then I'm pulling the legs of my camera in a little bit so that I can get the maximum height on this camera. And so now I'm shooting down on it even more. And this way Sue can look in her
computer.
When she puts it in the computer, she can look in there and she can see the difference in which one is best.
I put all the photos that Scott took, and he took, I don't know, close to 40. Some in RAW, some in JPEG, and some close-ups, some tilted, some, you know, all different versions. So I'm gonna put a few of these into Photoshop, and let's take a look. This painting is incredibly hard to photograph. It is because it is so dark, and those lights, it's just the camera, it's picking up everything. So I did my best to go into Photoshop and just take off any little dust and any little imperfection. But this is what I think the painting really looks like. I think the video shows a much better version of the painting. And I am definitely going to get either a different frame or sell it unframed. I think a stained frame, a wood stained frame, is just gonna look so much better. That black frame, which was fine, I got that black frame from LA Frames, and it's a 30 by 24, and I swear it it was a great price, and it's a good frame. It was too dark and too, I would say, matchy to this painting. I put a few of the images into Photoshop, and I'm going to show you a couple. Look at this. I mean, this really emphasizes any little, it overexposes, right? It makes everything just too light. Now, this one is a little bit better, but you still see it like emphasizes every single thing. This would be a nightmare. Like, you have to just go through every single little tiny blemish and use the rubber stamp tool, which is this tool right here. So I click rubber stamp tool, okay? And it turns into a circle, and you can make it bigger or smaller up here. So this is the bigger or smaller. You can make it bigger. I'm just gonna keep it this size, because what's happening is it's catching light and glare. It's catching light from a little speck or some brush stroke or some tiny imperfection in the canvas or the paint. I'm in rubber stamp tool, and what I do is I click the Alt, or the option, right? So I'll click right here. So it's like grabbing that value in color. So grab it, and then, so you see how it's almost like I'm zapping out pimples. And what it is it's just darkening. Okay, in the spots over here, I have to grab, so I have to option click. So I clicked a section of that lavender, and then you see how I just paint over that. So you see what that does is it's just darkening. It's just taking that little bit of glare away. So I'd have to go through this whole painting. So see, I go click and I go over it. So it's hard to do it perfectly. That's the annoying thing about it. Oh, I just want to kill myself. Okay, so I'm not going to be using that. Nope. Don't save. Not going to be using this one. Nope. Don't save. This one was a little bit better. You could see that there are dust and scratches, but also, so this is where the canvas was, this part was slightly tilted towards us, just an inch or two, and then the bottom of the canvas was tilted a little bit away, which means, right, that it's not catching as much light. So it's a little bit better. I'm still gonna have to fix this. But before I do that, I have to go in and I have to straighten it, because you can see how it's out of proportion. So what I have to do is I have to go over here, perspective crop tool. I hover over it, and I don't want just the regular one. I want the perspective crop tool, which means you see how it's not 100%, a square. Just where that corner is, and I drag down. Okay. Sometimes this takes a little practice. Bring it over. Now, this doesn't naturally, the computer doesn't know. Let me double click. Okay, I can fix that up. But you see how it kind of made her squished. So when I go up, and this is off screen, but when I go up to image size, could you see this? Okay, so now I have to bring it back to be a 30 by 24. This is the step that it took me a long time. I'm telling you guys, I learn things very slowly, and I have to practice them a lot. Perspective crop tool, you get the corners, and then you have to make sure that the image size, for some reason, I don't know why, Scott told me that the computers can't get it back to what it should be. So now we have to manually do this. Now in the very early days, I didn't know to do this. So sometimes my paintings would be a little squashed or a little elongated, and I couldn't tell because it was slight. This particular painting, you can tell. So now what you have to do is go into image size, and you have to uncheck this. This is the part that's so crazy. You have to uncheck this. So now I have to go up to here, and I have to go width. It's 24. Now I have to remember to check this, because it's it's just in the computer now, it's getting the dimensions right, and I have to now manually put in 30. See how it changes it? Let me go back. See what a difference that is? So a lot of times it's not going to be that extreme, but it's extreme this time. It could depend on how much perspective crop tool you need to do, like how severe it was. This one is severe, but I told you I've been caught in the past where it was just a little bit and I didn't even realize it. Oh God, I hate that. I have to go in and I have to clean up any of these dust and scratches. First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to filter, which is above the screen, noise, dust and scratches. And I just have it at 1, but let's see what it looks like at 2. Whoa. You see how it gets rid of some of that noise? It does make it a little bit softer. So this is where I debate. Should I go back to 1? So go back up to filter, noise, dust and scratches, and instead of 2, maybe I'll do 1. And let's see the difference. I'm going to see what filter, noise, dust and scratch at 2 again. That's the only problem. The only thing I don't like is it does soften it. I mean, because that's what it is. It's over sharpening, and that's why you see so much of the dust. Okay, so now I can go in and take rubber stamp and make my brush a little bit smaller because I don't need it to be that big. I'm just going to go darken. Okay, so I click Alt, grab that spot up there, and then, okay. So now I know that every time I click something, the brush, you see how it's like 1/4 of an inch above? So every time I click something, it's going to grab 1/4 of an inch above. Sometimes I have to change it, like 1/4 of an inch above is going to be too high. So you just get used to it. I could change the opacity if I feel like it's not doing a good enough job. See, wherever I click, it's like taking a sample. Click, take a sample. And this could take me a half hour. You know, it could take you, see, a little bit up there in the eyes. I could do this for a while and then I could go back in and I can bring back some of the sharpness of the face by going into the history brush. Oh my God, there's so many things. But you see how I could just get rid of some of these little imperfections. Fix that up there. But once I finish all the dust and scratches, then I'll go back into the history brush, which means I see this little brush right here with the little arrow. I click that and I go all the way back to before I was doing the clone stamp, and I'll bring back the sharpness of the eyes and the nose and the mouth, because that's what's important to me. So that is us taking photos of this painting and bringing it into Photoshop. The understanding that you had to tilt the canvas towards us, then using the perspective crop tool, and then having to resize it, and then having to go in here and use dust and scratches, and then the rubber stamp tool, and then the history brush. So being an artist is not, you know, just making pretty pictures. It really is a lot of stuff, a lot of other things. And then I'll save it in large versions, and I'll save it in a web version. I'll probably go and do some close-ups, but yeah. I hope this helps a little bit, and just to let you know that you're not alone, that taking photos of your work is is a lot to think about. Yeah, and there's a lot of just practice, a lot of trial and error. Thanks for watching and best of luck. This is the still life as it is today. It's not finished. I'm trying to be loose. Trying to use my biggest brush, so I'll show close-ups later. You know, I just don't want to show close-ups yet because I really want the painting to be seen from far away. And I just have been having issues with how bold to go with the flowers above. And of course, you know what's so fascinating is when you look at it through your phone, you just see how things stand out. Like, of course, those yellow flowers, especially the upper yellow flower, is going to have to be toned down. So anyways, I promised a view of the painting, and this is what it is so far before we go to Wilmington. As I go through YouTube a lot, I like to look at art videos, and I came across an art video that introduced me to Sir Oswald Burley. And they talked a little bit about this painting and the origin of it, and how it was a payment for... Oswald had a doctor, I guess, appointment and had something happen. And instead of paying money, he painted the doctor's daughter that was a nurse during, I think, World War I. And this was painted in 1921. So, but isn't she beautiful? I just thought, wow, we need to learn about some of these artists. Like, I think he was pretty famous in England, but in the US, he's not well known. But I just think her face is beautiful, and I wanted to introduce you to her. So Google him. I think he's done some other beautiful work also.